Hyvää iltapäivää kaikille. Good afternoon, everyone, dear participants. I think you have come across Finland, but also from Nordic countries. So welcome all, also on behalf of myself. So I'm Katriina Soini. I'm coming from MTT, Agri-Food Research Center, and I've been involved in this Green Care research and development activities for many years. Unfortunately, this has not been my only research topic. I would have liked to focus more on developing this great idea to bring nature into social and health care services. But anyway, it's good to see how this issue is progressing and getting more and more power in Finland. I'm very happy to see that. So I was invited to tell what is the state of the art of green care in Finland. Where are we now, and why we are here now, but also to see how the future looks like. And I would like to start, as said, by describing the current situation and a little bit the short history of green care in Finland, mainly for our invited guests for Nordic countries. But also I think there are some new Finnish participants as well. So, but that will be very briefly. And then I will next discuss a little bit the potential for the future, in particular as a regional or territorial development. And then I look a little bit concerning the future, the institutional environment, where are we living now, in particular the social and healthcare reform, which Asko Peltola referred to, that because that will be a very crucial thing when we are talking about the public service production and green care, how to access to the public sector in the future. And finally, some discussion about the possible next step, how to go on with various activities. So, with this figure, I would like to very briefly tell how green care came into Finland. Of course, as we all know, there have been many activities that can be considered as green care activities in Finland for decades. But the concept of the green care and its introduction was very crucial, because I think that was the one which started the networking between the actors who were interested in these activities, but also who had been working already on this field. And so this English term green care came after the mid 2000 and through various international research and networking activities. But it seems to me that there was a lot of hidden demand, but also supply, because the concept was very quickly taken into use, and now it has really spread across the country, and we have activities from Helsinki up to Utsjoki, I think. And there are many social things going on, detachment of nature and physical exercise, and there is more and more emphasis on the customer-oriented services, and also unfortunately increased social and health problems among the citizens. But on the other hand, we had a lot of resources, green nature, but also know-how, and also existing methods and entrepreneurs who are working on this field. So it's in a way very good situation, and when these two things were brought together, I think a lot of things has started to happen. And very briefly, I reviewed the most important steps in the development of the green care. The concept was introduced 2005-2006 through a very first research and development project, and then around 2000, and then first national seminar in Kannus was held, and then the main interest groups in the fields were identified, and also green care became a part of the rural development program, at least it was mentioned there, and and very important was also that the Green Care Finland Association was established in 2010 concerning the national cooperation. And since then we have had very many new research and development programs across the country, and which have promoted the national and regional networking, and we have, through this project, we have gained a lot of new knowledge of the practices, and also in these projects a kind of service typology has been developed in order to get a better grasp what the green care is and what are the services that could be considered as a green care services, and also a handbook and a preliminary quality criteria have been developed, and many pilot projects for training has been conducted. So a lot of these things has happened, and as you can see, this is a map of the green care projects that have been funded by the regional work centers in Finland. This was the situation last year. So altogether 13 projects, I think, when we have 15 regional work centers, work and employment centers. So what do we understand currently with green care in Finland? I think many of you are familiar with this figure, and it's also part of the brochure that I think you have received from the info desk. And based on different communications and projects, we have come up with this kind of figure which summarizes the main elements of the green care in Finland. And this is also the approach that has been agreed by the Association Green Care in Finland. And the main key elements of the green care activities, of course, is the nature. Nature which provides the environment for healing and for empowerment. But in addition to nature, we also need, or green care activities very often include interaction with the nature. Some kind of work, or just interacting with nature, with of course with many sensual experiences. That's an essential part also when you think about learning or deepening the nature experience. And the third part of the key elements of green care is community. And with the community, we refer not only to human community, but also the nature. Humans can be a part of the larger community, which we can call nature, or part of the animals, group of animals, and so on. So these are the main elements which really bring, are meaningful when you think about the effects of nature on human well-being. On the other hand, everything that takes place in nature cannot be green care. So the very general criteria for defining the green care services is that those services are responsible in respect to nature, in respect to clients, in respect to the other people in the community, for example. And then, on the other hand, the activities that will take place, they should be very conscious. They should be goal-oriented. They cannot be something which take place only once or twice. Of course, it's also meaning for the people, but it should be something that is systematically carried out. And finally, the third pillar or quality criteria is professionality. And this does not mean that you have to have a certain type of education always, but it means that you have a professionality which fills the requirement of the services given. So those are the main criteria, and after this work, these criteria have been further developed by, for example, THL MTT work, where they developed the quality criteria, and also by the Green Care Finland I will come back to those issues later on. And compared to many other countries I know in Europe, our approach for green care is very broad in terms of methods used. So we consider green care activities that utilize animals, gardens, farms, and also the wild nature. While in many countries, the main focus is only one type of activities, for example, on the social farming or care farming. So we have very ambitious scheme in Finland in that way, because it means that this is a really broad range of services that can be provided under the umbrella of green care. But this is, I think, it's also a good opportunity to have this broad and to bring various activities together, because they are not necessarily isolated from each other, but you can also combine them. And so it's an added value in that way. My colleague Elina Vehmasta from MDT, who's sitting over there, has been working on these green care services, because as I said, there is a wide range of combinations how you can produce green care services. You can bring animals and gardens and so on, and you can have many different type of clients, and you can also have very different target level in your activities. So how to make it more clear what is green care and what is not? And so Elina started to work on this issue, and she came up with this kind of matrix, or actually there were 5 or 6, I don't know, but this is only one example of them, and she tried to clarify different types of green care. And finally she found out that there are all the services in a way could be divided in 2 different types, main types of green care services. And the other one type of services are really the green care, vihreän hoivan palvelut, green care services, which are mainly in the responsibility of the public sector, and also the clients are coming from the through the public sector, and they are very usually vulnerable clients in some way or another, socially excluded, handicapped people, and so on. And then it's natural that in that case quality standards, various kinds, are defined by the law already for these type of services, and also there are educational requirements concerning the service provider. And this type of services mainly belong to the field of the health and social policy. While the Green Empower Vihreä Voima services, they do not necessarily belong to the public responsibility, but and they are mostly provided by the private sector and entrepreneurs, and they can also concern or these clients could be considered normal, whatever normal means. So that's a bad word, but average, or I don't know. But anyway, and then there are not necessarily any standards, but the quality systems are more often voluntary based, and there are no educational requirements. So and the line between these 2 types of services is not that clear, but still something like this we can discern. It's for sure. And in the Green Empower services, they are not that much related to health and social policy, but more market-based. But also we can consider them as a part of the rural development and rural policies and educational policies and things like that. Then I try to visualize also these 2 types of services, and in my view somehow when we are talking about the green care services provided by the public sector, the care is the main focus, while the green is something that is brought in, while in the other case the green is more in the core, and care is something not that heavy but a little bit more light that is added to increase the effect of nature in human well-being. So, what is the future like? Maybe I have to very quickly describe this new material, which I thought that might be interesting when we are talking about the future of the green care in Finland. And Asko started his presentation describing the characteristics of Ostrobothnia, and Ostrobothnia can be considered as a territory in a way with a lot of different resources. And I have been thinking that this idea of using the resources of the region is very crucial for developing green caring. Not only the green environment we had, but also the know-how, the networks, and all kind of capitals we have in these regions. And maybe that's something that we could, in the future, really try to bring forth when you are talking about green care and its benefits. Not only the benefits for human well-being, but also more broadly to the regional development and so on. So, in the research literature, various types of capitals have been discerned, and it's as I said, it's not only natural capital, but we also have a lot of physical capital. I mean, infrastructure, livelihoods as economic capital. Then we have human capital, which refers to education, tacit knowledge, know-how, but also social capital, which again refers to the relationships between people, institutions, organizations, and so on. And finally, we also have cultural capital, which is not only the heritage issue, but also the values we carry. So when we combine these issues, we can really come up with something new, which is something regional, which is something original. But when we are developing this issue, we have to keep in mind the past, what has been existed in the future, because sometimes it's very difficult to get rid of the history or old habits or attitudes and values if we would like to. But then also the future, what are the institutional and or other issues that frame the future. And then we also should keep in mind that the areas are never closed. They are in connection with other areas, and we should see also how the regions can cooperate with each other, in addition that what is happening between the actors in the region. So, and I also think this is not based on any other source, but how I think that these resources we are having here, how they transfer or converge into other. For example, if we take the nature and all the physical resources we have in this region, we can use them in many social. They build up in a way very many social networks and economic activities, which have many cultural impacts. And the cultural things again have an effect on the physical environment. So they are interacting in that way, and that can be seen in some case very positive development path. So that was very short story, but maybe something that you can think about during these days, and also when you are working on green care, how we could utilize all these capacities we have in the regions. So I'm geographer by my background. Maybe this this explains a little bit my interest as well. But then about the institutional environment, how is it changing? And as said, the reform of the social and healthcare services is really a crucial one. And I thought that maybe it would be useful in the beginning of these days to share some of the basic facts that we are now facing in Finland. Although we do not know actually what this reform in the end really looks like, but we have to keep it in mind to be realistic when we are developing green care. And for the background, I found some statistics about the demographical development in Finland, and as you know, the main trend is that the population is aging very rapidly, and also that means that there are less and less people in the working age to take care of the elderly people and also the youngsters. That is the main trend, but it's not only a threat; it's also a huge opportunity. So we only have to be aware of these changes. What does it mean in terms of public services? Then the other thing is that concerning the public sector, the social and health sector takes about 55% of all the public costs, and that's really a lot. But you have to take into account that there is a lot of costs related to retirement costs, but also the all kind of insurances. So the actual costs of the health services is about this size, and the social services is this. But still, it's really a huge money that is spent on the services. And that makes it so political that it has been taking so long to agree on any sote-uudistus. So, but then on the other hand, we can see many opportunities. We made a small review of all the main policy documents related to social and healthcare, and also rural policy and environmental policy. And if we think green care, we can see that it very well fits with the aims and the ideas that are presented in those strategies. For example, in addition to of course, the main aim to increase the physical, psychological, and social health, there are issues like customer-oriented services, accessibility, equality, participation. Prevention is very important as well. It's becoming more and more important because it's much more cheaper to prevent diseases and promote human well-being than to repair that. So that's one thing. But also, if you look at the regional development, there are issues like multi-professionality, everyday life practices, local services, new entrepreneurship, and so on, based on livelihoods, and so on. And if you look at the environmental policies, you are talking about the bioeconomy, cultural ecosystem services, which refers to the intangible values of the nature, and so on. So I think that green care really, it's in all the strategies, although it's not mentioned, but it very well meets the aims that are there, and in a way it promotes the sustainable development, which should be really the final aim of any development. So, but what the main aims of the reform, which was in a way confirmed in June, although there are still some juridical processes that it has to pass in the parliament, but if that will happen, the reform would promote, of course, health, well-being, and social security, and also provide equal services across the country, and strengthening the basic services, and very important issue is also the cost efficiency and effectiveness of the services. That are the main aims. And according to the plan, the country will be divided into 5 SOTE districts, social and healthcare districts, which would be responsible for supervising and organizing the service delivery. And in practice, what kind of services are produced and where and for whom. And they also address the funding for these services and define the principles for buying the services, and also they define the quality criteria and try to find common practices between the regions and so on. But then, what is the role of the municipalities in the future? They will pay for these districts based on their number of population, health, and demography, and so that the districts can again buy the services, and then the municipalities can participate in the service deliver. So and these services can be organized by private sector, by public sector, together with them, or also in cooperation with NGOs and so on, like now. But it's the district which defines how the services and where they will be produced. And then, in addition to those two, also the role of ministry will be strengthened, and there will be, for example, a committee for service portfolio working under the Ministry of Social and Healthcare Services, which defines, for example, which services are funded by the public sector, which is what services are in a way necessary services. And this committee will also define or prioritize the services which are more important than the others, what is more urgent. And also they focus on the cost efficiency of the services, and in order to get appropriate health services for all people. And then they will also give some recommendations, for example, regarding Care-päivät recommendations, and for insurance, what kind of services can be reimbursed by the Kela, for example. Things like that. And what does this mean for green care, developing green care? It means that the shift of the decision-making power from the municipalities will go to the districts, from local to non-local. That might be a challenge if people do not know the entrepreneurs or the people so well, if the decisions are taken elsewhere. And also that the need of services, effectiveness and cost efficiency are main criteria. It means that really we have to focus also when we are developing green care to reveal the effects of these activities to the decision makers. I think that will be important. So based on this background, I try to think a little bit what should be perhaps done in the near future. May I have some 5 minutes? Okay. Okay. So I identified 4 topics which are really, in my view, the most important things. This is not very new. I think this was said also in the Voima project's report, but maybe this is something that we can also share here and discuss further. If these are the things, or are there some other things we should consider? So one thing which also came up with the regional reports when we looked at them was that the decision makers are calling for knowledge of effects and effectiveness of the green care services. Are they useful for people or not, or clients? And what we have done until now is that we have a lot of international research on how all kind of benefits of nature for human well-being. In addition to that, we have developed a kind of general framework for assessing the health effects but also the regional or rural effects and of green care activities. And then we also have in some of the local projects have made single studies on green care activities with certain client groups. So we have a kind of knowledge, but I think that in the future we should have more comprehensive overview of all the benefits for different client groups, and also better means to communicate of these results for the decision making, to make it simple enough and say why this is needed and why this is useful for some people. And then I think one idea might be, because there is a lot of regional projects and other type of projects, that based on all these projects we could somehow build up a national database or a collection of all experiences, so that it's much more powerful than one single research. So that might be an opportunity. Another thing is that, which also we came up from the interviews of the decision makers, that the public sector as a buyer of the services in particular calls for quality, and this work has also started in Finland in Voima project, and in addition to these three general principles: responsibility, professionality, goal-orientedness, the Green Care workbook introduces a lot of practical guidelines what an entrepreneur should take into account when he's acting as a Green Care entrepreneur, and what are the quality criterion and risk assessments and so on. And also Green Care Finland has designed ethical principles which are available on the website. So I think it's a very nice basis for the future. But then considering the very broad approach we have for Green Care, we have so many different methods and service types. We need for the future more detailed quality requirement for each Green Care service type. And there has also been discussion of certification of quality and also associated trademarks. This is under discussion, and I think this will be discussed, yes, in the future. And then the third thing is the training. And as said, in the regional project there has been a lot of training activities for entrepreneurs, and the issue in particular, special issue in the Green Care is the multi-professionality. So we have to link very often social and healthcare service professionionality with environmental management services. Not always this can be also carried out through networking, but we certainly need new kind of professionals in this field. And how this training will be organized, we already have a very good overview made by Voima project, what is the current situation, but now in the future we need to progress in a systematic way to keep the training level high enough and coordinate it somehow, that there are not too many type of training, and it's clear that what kind of training you need for certain type of services. And I also think that new methods like this social farming needs to be developed or modelized somehow, so that it becomes more transparent for the decision makers. And finally, if we think about the territorial development, we already have had very nice regional projects which have promoted networking among the actors, and also we have national cooperation like this event here reveals. But what is needed in the future, I think we still need strengthening these local networks, because Finland is still quite a big country. It cannot be too centrally governed. So in this field either. So we need a kind of national coordination, so that the activities become or develop in a same line. But then we need active regions which carry out activities. This is the final slide, and so my conclusion is that there is also in the future a demand for public social and healthcare services, and probably this demand will even increase. And this reform will bring some challenges to introduce Green Care services in social and because of this district way of thinking and the longer distance to the decision makers. So, and also a question will remain: who will pay for the services in the future concerning the economic situation, at least from this time perspective? And then, on the other hand, what are the choices then? I think, as I said, I think it's very important to try to reveal the effects and effectiveness of the green care, not only for the human health, but also for the regions, and also introduce and promote green care approach through strategic partnerships and at regional level. So I mean that we should network not only within social and healthcare sector, but also other sectors. And then finally, go beyond the health and social policy, because that might be quite heartbeat for us. So rather try to go find another way, perhaps, to promote it at first, to make it powerful enough. So I thank you for your attention and hope that you learned something. Thank you.